Welcome. It is Buster Cherry again, and I'm here reporting live from inside the Left Coast Fantasy League Hall of Fame for the Sacramento Bee. Unfortunately, I have been forced by my employer to come back here and give you an update on the season as they pass the quarter pole. The league just finished with Week 4, and if the waiver wire was once a well of opportunity, it is now a dry cavern of disappointment. Half the league has an abundance of free agency cash waiting for the unknown to pop up any second, while the other half spent it like it has a past expiration date. With the trade deadline ending in 3 weeks and no real big fish on the table, it looks as if the rosters are locked. Will someone make a big move? I doubt it. Let us start with the 3-time winner and current back-to-back champion, Dave and the Super Gremlins. Week 1 started with a rough matchup against Adam, but huge games from Jefferson, Davis, and Bateman gave him a solid 20-plus point buffer for the win. After Week 1 is when Dave's franchise took a turn to the last house on the left. Week 2, he was first up to take on the 2022 West Dilly Turnpike, where 85% of the league play Sam and Joe back-to-back. Sam blew him off the block 218 to 123, followed by more losses Week 3 and 4. Our current champion is searching for hope, now sitting with 1 win. He did make a move Monday night, sending wide receiver Josh Palmer to Joe for a much-needed tight end, Logan Thomas. Hopefully that will help get this storied franchise back on track. Last year's runner-up, Jason, is a completely different story. Since the infamous veto of 2020, Jay has been a wrecking ball in the league. 2 championship games in a row, and he is now the only undefeated team in the LCFL. Running through Mikey, Omar, Houston, and Dave to become 4-0. Although his roster is riddled with stars, it has been Jason milking the current number 5 wide receiver, Devin Duvernay, like he was John Madden's low-hanging udder that has pushed the team to new heights. Chad and the Toasty Loaves are leading a 4-way tie for second. Don Vito did not hold back when scheduling the new franchise's first game against John P. But even with a Cole Comet goose egg, the Loaves scored 196 and won by more than 60 points. Week 2, his whole team was picked up and dropped directly on their head by the Sap Daddy. But Chad responded from that loss by being the first owner to complete the Dilly Turnpike, earning a much-needed stripe in the streets. Behind him in the battle for second is Sean and the Jump Logs. After finishing third in the franchise's very first playoff appearance, they have hit the ground running in 2022. Always in prime time, always under the bright lights, the Jump Logs have become must-see TV. Nail-biting games, with a Week 1 win by 1/10 of a point, and then a Week 2 win by 3/10 of a point. Week 3, that flame was cooled by God's favorite fantasy player, Omar. But Sean found his winning ways when Higbee sealed the deal Monday night. I promise to you that I, Buster Cherry, have brought a log into my living room just so I can jump over it repeatedly while I watch football on Sundays. Adam also finds himself in the mix for second. After tasting his own blood in a Week 1 loss to Dave, Adam has rung off 3 dominating wins in a row versus Chad, Anthony, and Justin, while scoring 113 more points than his opponents in the process. His problem at this point isn't the competition from his peers. It's going to be the competition of whom to play on his own team. Nuke Hopkins coming back and Pickens coming into his own will put a lot of pressure on his already stacked wide receiver core. If you're listening and need a receiver, call Adam. Joe is the final person in the 4-way tie for second. With a 148.5 per game average across the first 4 weeks, Joe has showed his team has one of the highest floors, and you better come correct. After suffering his first loss, Joe has to try to get back on track against the fantasy computer Week 5. Now that Brady is finally leaving that chicken head, Giselle, and Dobbins is proving he still has the juice, the team should have the spark it needs to build another long win streak. Even though he is only 2-2, Sam is the highest scoring team in the league with 748 total points scored. 58 points more than undefeated Jason has scored. He is also the best in the game at finding a deal. After Week 1, he was able to trade Mooney for Justin Jacobs, saving his franchise in a time of injury. Sam now looks to the exact place he made the trade as he plays Justin Week 5 to try and get back into the win column. After realizing last year was not going to be a good one, Anthony and the computer decided to pull the plug and go all in on 2022 by loading up arguably the best keeper class of the draft. With the dividends of those keepers starting to show and the Reebok Classic behind him, Anthony and his super machine are ready to fight for their first LCFL championship, starting Week 5, where they try to sweep the Dilley Turnpike. John P. claims that sitting at 500 is exactly where he wants to be 4 weeks in. There was no time to feel sorry for himself after a Week 1 loss due to the $100 Reebok Classic being Week 2. He miraculously pushed his undefeated Classic streak to a perfect 4-0. Although on the field it is bad blood, off the field John P. and Anthony have a business respect, as they were able to come to a deal with a trade. Anthony was able to get his handcuff Harris, while John P. got the much-needed receiver help he had been seeking in Mike Williams. He has second-place Sapdaddy and the Dilley Turnpike in the next 3 weeks. Good luck, you're going to need it. Team Nigem started off with a rough patch getting worked by Joe and Jason, but Week 3, Omar woke up and remembered he is God's favorite fantasy player, putting together big 2 wins in a row. Omar now looks to get back in his winning ways as he heads to face his SoCal rivals John, Houston, Dave, and Chad coming in the next 4 weeks. Justin is the last team to be at 2-2 tied for 6th place. His 2 wins have both come against owners named John, and there are no more Johns in the league, so I'm not confident he will get another win. Justin and Derek will always have that Ash and Pikachu bond that can overcome any obstacle. Week 5 will be versus Sam, where Jumpman Tannehill faces off against Teddy Two Gloves in this epic quarterback clash. It has been a rough start for John Locke as he tries to navigate the LCFL 14 years after his original championship. Sometimes when you want respect, you just need to take it. And that is what John plans to do Week 5 when he eats Omar's cornbread. 4 weeks in, there are only 2 winless teams in the Left Coast Fantasy League. Third-year owner of the fan club, Houston, and rookie owner Michael Nelson. If you wanted to know who is the worst of the worst, well, you are in luck. These 2 franchises face off Week 5, and someone is going to walk away with a win. One of these teams will be the loser of all losers, the double loser. Someone will earn the title of designated L holder. The fan club seem to be trending up as their keeper Austin Eckler has found momentum, and quarterback Hurts is in the running for the top spot. Nelson Taco are in a current downward spiral with hurt players as his biggest trade piece on a keeper-friendly contract. Williams just blew his ACL. At some point we need to come to the realization that the curse of the Rickster might be a real thing. I am sick of talking about all these owners, so let us get into the players that actually do all the heavy lifting. We can start with the top 10 quarterbacks in order from 1 to 10. Allen, Jackson, Hurts, Mahomes, Goff, Murray, Herbert, Burrow. The Black Ranger, aka Mr. Not Going to Right Back, Geno Smith, and Tua T. Top 10 runners of the ball in order are Barkley, Chubb, Williams, Eckler, CEH, CMC, Jacobs, King Henry, Sanders, and Robinson. Moving on to the top 10 ball wranglers. Kupp, Diggs, Hill, Jefferson, Duvernay, Waddle, Hollywood Brown, A.J. Hot Brown, St. Brown, and Adams. The current 10 tightest ends are Kels, Andrews, Tony Hawk, Ertz, Higbee, Everett, Patty F. Baby, Conklin, Goddard, and White Will Disley. In the Left Coast Fantasy League, kickers matter, so here are the top 10. Koo, Carlson, Maher, Gano, Suckup, Tucker, McPherson, Boswell, York, and the Big OG, Greg the Leg. Last but not least, we have the top 10 point-scoring defensive players, and I apologize if I get any of the names wrong. Fitzpatrick, Luvu, Crosby, Hufanga, Smith, Snead, Milano, Williams, Werner, and Alukin. Before I go, I do have some news on the 2023 card series for next season. There will be an Adam Sappington owner card, Houston Wins Jordan's Moment card, Justin Roberts' 2018 champion card, and a big game card that will cover the 2012 Week 9 matchup of Dave and John Locke. That is it. Now time for me to get out of here. It smells like someone farted into an ashtray and projected that smell throughout the whole house. I have to go. This is Buster Cherry signing off. Go jump logs.